Welcome back to the Ohio MMA Podcast. I am your host, David McKinney. Joining me on today's show is JT Isenberg. What's up, JT?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. So we finally linked up. I know, actually, I think I talked to you like probably 6 months ago about getting you on the podcast, and finally doing it. You've got a title fight coming up the first week of August, heading out to Pennsylvania at Bayfront Brawl 15, fighting for the Bizarro Promotions title. How's training going, and how are you feeling about heading into the fight?
Uh, Training is going great. I feel good. The weight's right where I want it. I feel ready. I'm ready right now. I cut weight, fight tomorrow if I had to.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually was looking at your record, and I followed you since your first fight, and I remembered I actually called your second fight back in 2022 for Ohio Combat League, and I didn't remember you. I remember, and then I'm like, I had to make sure it was the same guy. You were fighting at 135. You had hair. You still had the
Yeah,
beard, but you had hair.
yeah.
You've had a pretty big transition in the last couple of years, man.
uh, oh, you cut out for a second. We good?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I
All
was gonna
right.
say, yeah. You've had a pretty big transition in the past couple of years.
Yeah. Actually, after that fight, I took a whole year off just to bulk up. Going into that fight, one, I overcut weight. I had to wear clothes at the weigh-in because I didn't have scale at the hotel, so I had no idea where I was. So I ended up weighing 133, and I had to weigh in with clothes on to make 134 and a half or something like that. Just cutting down to that just left me weak. So I decided take some time, bulk up, get to where my body feels good, where I feel good, and then get back in. And I decided to try 155, and yeah, it went perfect. So I haven't changed nothing yet.
Yeah, and you actually have won three fights in a row. You lost your debut. Take me through the process of losing your debut. You lost in the first round, but then coming back stronger than ever, and now you've won three in a row. You have two submissions and then a decision victory.
Yeah, losing the first one, I wasn't upset or disappointed. I was just happy that I got out there and did it. Moving forward, I started getting to that point where I was like, man, I don't like, having a loss, so I'm gonna get back out there and try to get a win. And that's exactly what I did. Even though I wasn't exactly happy with my second fight, I still wasn't training with a real gym with proper teammates. It was kind of all me and some buddies, training together. So going into that second fight, I still wasn't where I am now. Just luckily in that moment, I was the better fighter that. On 55, I feel great. I got great teammates behind me, great coaches behind me. Everything's rolling smooth. So, uh, yeah, even if I disregard the first two fights and just go based off my last two, uh, I'm feeling good. So,
Yeah. So let's talk about your team. So I see you represent Ashtabula Grappling Club, which is kind of a small gym, but I also see you do some training at Powers. Tell me about doing training there. Are you officially part of that gym, or is that just some cross training?
uh,
Tell me about your two camps.
most mostly cross training there. I don't know if you would consider me part of it. I consider, the guys I train with there. I consider them teammates, and I consider Cheeto one of my coaches. Um, but yeah, just training between the two gyms is the best of both worlds. I get great grappling here, and it's close to home, so I can make it here consistent and be with, all these people here. And on the weekends when I'm more free, I can get out there. And out there, I've been training with some of the best guys. It's honestly the best of both worlds.
Yeah, man, I'm doing heading up to the Made Men show up in Cleveland this weekend, and it's like feels like all the top fighters are coming out of Powers with Cheeto. Man, he's definitely got a crew coming out of that
Yeah,
gym.
I'll see you there then.
Yeah. um, but so your next fight. Let's actually talk about your last fight. So you fought a couple guys, kind of debut, and then you had a big step up in competition. You faced Tony Lichtenberger, who had 8 fights going into that one, and you won a decision. And Tony's actually gone on and won his pro debut. Do you feel like that gives you a lot more confidence having faced a veteran fighter like that and someone who's already had success in the pro ranks? After you fought him.
Yeah, I would say a little bit of a confidence boost, but you know, it's more more or less the experience of fighting somebody with that level of experience. Yeah, of course, I'm happy I won. I get the little boost of confidence, but it also shows me where I have to be, what I have to do to, move up. And just all in all, I'm appreciative of the fight and I'm happy that I got the win. But I'm never satisfied. I go through the highlights or go through the video round for round and pick out everything I did wrong and everything I want to change. And it's a good experience, definitely, with that competition level, and I feel happy with it. But I had, a lot more work to do after that fight, and that's what I've been working on lately.
Yeah, and so now your next fight coming up, you got a title fight, your first title fight at 155, taking on Devon Watkins at Bayfront Brawl 15 over in Pennsylvania. What do you think about the matchup? I know Devon is, a very interesting opponent. He has a lot of knockouts. All 5 of his wins are via knockout. He's going to be an interesting test. How are you feeling heading into the fight?
I feel great. Uh, at first, I took the fight. I didn't hesitate, and then, I started watching. I watched a couple of his fights. I try not to get, too into film, uh, but I did watch a couple of his fights, seen a couple highlights, and I was like, all right, he's definitely a good striker. He's got some power. He's got, he seems like he has long arms, has some good reach, distance control. Um, he seems like, like a sharpshooter, pretty accurate. Um, just moving forward with my training for that, I haven't changed a whole lot. I've just been training harder. So, as far as a matchup, I think it's perfect. You know, what he probably has leverage on me in the boxing category, I feel I make up in the grappling category. However, I don't plan on going out there and shooting for takedowns. I'm gonna test my skills on the feet and you know, see how well I fare.
Yeah, and and you've also kind of had an interesting career. You're from Ohio, Northeast Ohio, but you fought mainly outside of Ohio. You fought in Pennsylvania a couple times. You fought actually in West Virginia. What's the thought process behind that? Going out of state to compete.
I think it's more for the experience. Hitting the road, going to fight somewhere that's not home, somewhere different. Um, I honestly kind of like getting booed on the walkout. So I've honestly been booed on every walkout, except for my last one. I think that one I had a lot more people. It's closer to home, so I had a lot more people go. So I think my last fight was the only fight I wasn't booed at. But I like being the away team, I guess.
Yeah. You guys are both kind of gonna be the away team. He's from Canton, and you're from Ashtabula, and you're going up and meeting in Erie. So that'll be interesting to see who gets the crowd love in this one.
Hopefully, we both just go out there and get them all riled up. I plan on having the best fight on the card. Uh,
Yeah, it's definitely a
and
yeah,
both
really,
fights.
yeah. How do you feel about the rules in Pennsylvania and West Virginia because they have the novice, amateur? I know you fought, I think, two of your first 3 fights with the novice rules, the shin guards and 2-minute rounds and no striking on the ground. How do you feel about that versus the Ohio slash advanced rule set?
Slash advanced rule set. My first fight was PA. That was the novice. Shin guards, no ground and pound. My second fight was in Columbus at OCL. That was Ohio rules, so no shin guards, ground and pound allowed. Uh, Definitely a fan of that. West Virginia was cool. You had to wear shin guards, but you were allowed to throw head kicks, so I was pretty excited about that. And then going back to PA, I was put in the advanced rules, so no shin guards, ground and pound allowed. So it's basically the same as Ohio.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't know that about West Virginia until recently because I saw an amateur fight that it was like I think it was a novice and the guy won via head kick, and I'm like, oh, that I didn't realize that was legal in West
Yeah,
Virginia. But
yeah, yeah.
and yeah, all the interesting different rule sets in different states. I feel like that gives you a different look though too, right? You've got experience in different types of atmospheres.
Yeah, everybody's goal is to make it to that pro level, and the rule set is open. So if I can dabble in multiple rule sets as an amateur and get that experience before I make it to that level, then it's perfect. It's a perfect opportunity. I think everybody should, travel. They shouldn't stay close to home. I think they should try being the away team and trying a different rule set. As far as amateurs getting that experience, I think that's good for you.
Yeah. How'd you originally get started in the sport? Did you wrestle or did you go through any other sports? How'd you find MMA?
I've played all sports. I wrestled a few years as well. I honestly got into some backyard stuff, still in high school, and then shortly after high school, continued it a little bit. And, I liked it. I had fun. I liked the adrenaline rush. Obviously, none of us trained. It was just guys putting on gloves and fighting in someone's backyard. So after I graduated, a couple years went by, and I started training here and there at boxing club and doing some grappling. And then one day I was like, I'm gonna jump in and give it all I have and try it. Just try. That's how I got to my first fight. And then after that is when I really decided, this is what I want to do. I want to pursue this. Even if I don't make it, I'm gonna try to. Uh, and so far, so good. I think over time, over the past couple years, I feel my experience. I can notice the difference in my experience level from the time I started training with real teammates, real coaches to now, and it's a tremendous jump. And I'm just excited. I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I went down a wormhole of the. Have you seen any of the street beef stuff?
Yeah,
One of
yeah.
one of the fighters on the Made Men show this weekend in the main event, Baby Hulk, is the street beef champ. So I'm like, I went down a big wormhole watching street beefs for the past like 2 days.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's definitely that they like make it like true MMA, right? Like it's almost like a cage, but it's in a
Yeah,
yard.
yeah.
It's
They
interesting.
do different rule sets too. Some of them are boxing only. Some of them are kickboxing. Some of them are MMA. I don't really watch it religiously, but I'll see a video or a clip here and there online, and you see some good fights. Some guys that look like they actually train, they just don't want to, fight at a sanctioned event, so they go there and try it out. Then you get a couple of them fights where it's just both of you guys shouldn't be in there. It's entertainment though, so that's
Yeah, yeah.
why they're successful.
There's all levels. Um, one thing too, so I was doing some social media stalking of you. I know you do. I think you do like construction, but you were saying that you're building a house by yourself. Was that just no one showed up, or are you actually building a house by yourself?
Uh, I'm not literally the whole house by myself. So I got one crew finishing up at the house that we already built. They're just doing the final touches, and we got motion to move forward on this new build. And so I went there with the boss's 15-year-old son and his 17-year-old son, and we worked a couple days, and uh, then they decided to stay home the one day, and I wasn't supposed to go there, and then he called me first thing in the morning and told me to go there. And so yeah, sometimes I do a lot of work by myself. Sometimes it should take way more than one guy, but I get it done. I got a pretty good amount of experience.
What's like the craziest thing that you've done by yourself that you're like, man, I shouldn't be able to do this by myself?
Some really heavy and long LVL headers that I probably shouldn't have put in by myself. Uh, Definitely using like a board or a nail to hold one end up, and while I walk the other end up a 10-12 foot ladder to wedge it into the other side.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of crazy things. I've set trusses by myself, where that's definitely a multiple person job. Luckily they were small trusses. No, even like the instance you're talking about, I was setting 33-foot long joists, by myself, rolling them out, walking a beam, you know, nobody to if I fell, nobody would be there to help me. So
Oh man. So I
I
guess yeah, I guess you don't have to do weight training in the gym.
uh, no, a lot of people think that, but I still do. Um, I feel like working all day. I feel like that burns a lot out of me. As far as I don't feel like I'm gaining anything from it. I feel like stuff's being taken from me. So
Yeah,
I still have to go home and I have to weight train just to feel like I actually accomplished something. So yeah, definitely weight training as well as working.
gotcha. Um, the last question I want to ask, I always like to ask guys about their nickname. You don't have a nickname, at least not on Tapology, but I see your Instagram is Flying Me JT. Do you have a nickname or still
Uh,
waiting for one?
no, I don't. I don't have a nickname. I never really thought about it. Nor do I. I don't want to say I don't care, but I kind of don't. Um, I've heard some guys' nicknames. Some of them are cheesy, some of them are cool, and it works for that person. I just haven't been given one, and I'm not one of those guys that's going to give myself one. So
Yeah, yeah. I actually when I do commentary, my thing is like I never did this before because I'm like I'm not that guy, but I started trying to give fighters nicknames and just like the goofy nicknames. So one of the guys the last show threw a big soccer kick when a guy was down to the body, and I'm like, all right, that's his nickname is Pele now. So,
see,
um,
that works.
yeah,
It's unique. It's different. It's
yeah,
silly but cool at the same time.
yeah. So, yeah, man, I'm excited for this fight. The so you've actually fought out in Pennsylvania at the Bayfront Convention Center, I think one other time. It's a really cool venue. It looks like from pictures. I've never been there. I've always wanted to go, but is that a cool venue to fight in?
Yeah, it's cool on the building on the lake, and then you get inside, and you walk down this long hall and make a left, and it's just this big open room. They do the boxing and MMA in the same night, so you walk into this giant room, and they got a boxing ring and an MMA cage, seats and tables all around. It's definitely a cool venue. Um, I would say the Made Men venue that I was at, West Virginia, was a really nice venue as well. That one had more of a theater feel to it. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I definitely like the Bayfront. It's close to home. It's definitely nice.
All right, man. August 3rd, Bayfront Brawl 15, amateur title on the line, 155. Anything else you got to say? Anybody you want to thank, mention, teammates, sponsors,
Uh,
all that fun stuff?
yeah, thank all my teammates for helping me get ready. We're crunch time, 2.5, 3 weeks out. I want to thank my sponsors, the CBD department. Jeff's a great guy. He's always helping me out, always keeping in contact. I'd like to thank my buddy. He owns a clothing company, Del Rosa Delicates. I'd like to thank Blair Construction out of Emlenton, PA, and Erie Shores Auto Connect out of Ashtabula. And I'd also like to shout out the company I work for. They don't sponsor me, but if you want a sweet cabin built by yours truly, get a hold of Young Cedar Log Homes.
So you build cedar log homes? I didn't realize you do like log homes.
Yep, yep, they're
That's
all
awesome.
authentic cabins.
So like Lincoln Logs, is that did you do that as a kid?
Yeah, yeah.
Lincoln
So
Logs.
it's kind of like that. It's just a way bigger scale.
Yeah, full size ones.
Yeah,
That's awesome though, man. I love a good cabin.
yeah,
Are you always out in the woods and stuff too, or is it just like it's
yeah.
like not as cool of a
So
spot?
yeah, that's what I like about going. Like I used to build residential houses, in a cul-de-sac or development, and then the switch to cabins is amazing. I mean, the one I'm doing one in Jamestown, New York, and it's in the middle of a hemlock forest. It's a beautiful setting. It's no traffic, no cars. You don't hear anybody. You're just out there building a cabin in the woods. It's cool. Can't
That's
beat
awesome.
it.
When I need my cabin built, I know who to call now.
There you go.
That's what I need, man, for like a podcast studio out in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, there you
Um,
go. It's a great idea.
yeah, because I always get every time I do a show, like I live in the city, and I either get people yelling outside or motorcycles blazing by. I need to get some like somewhere far away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my plan. Right now, I just kind of stick it out where I'm at and, keep working, keep saving, keep building to move out of state and find a spot in the mountains somewhere and build my own cabin.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, so next up, like I said, title fight August 3rd, Bayfront Brawl 13. Check it out. Um, uh, I don't know if they stream or not, but
They do.
yeah. So I'll make sure I post the stream information when we get it. But yeah, thanks so much, JT Isenberg. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and we'll be back next week with another episode.